your move, your move.
What's up, guys? It's Rogue here, and welcome to another amazing combo guide on the channel. So for today we have the highly requested video. I've gotten about 6 or 7 comments now asking, Rogue, where is the updated Invoked combo guide? And on this beautiful Friday, here we are. We have the Invoked combo guide that is very, very saucy. So without any further ado, if you do enjoy this type of content, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe down below. Also leave a comment. How many times you normal summon Alistair in a month? Because let me tell you, it must be around 30 to 40 times for me. At least every day, sometimes more. I just love the guy. But enough jibber jabber. Let's get on to combo number 1. So for combo number 1, it is tradition that I show you exactly how to do the Invoked combos. Grab yourself a bucket of popcorn because we're going to be here an absolute age. So it all starts with our 1-card starter, Magical Meltdown. We obviously play 3 Meltdown and 1 Terraforming, meaning we have 4 starters from the Invoke side, excluding Alistair himself. If you count him, we have 7 starters on the Invoke side, which is pretty good. So how exactly do we play this out? Well, we're going to activate our Magical Meltdown that now becomes a Ghost Rare because of the glare. So Ghost Rare Magical Meltdown Konami when? I got one right here. We're going to grab Alistair the Invoker. We're now going to normal summon Alistair the Invoker and pray to Alistair Crowley himself that they don't have an Ash or an Imperm. But they won't. And if they do, you'll have your call by anyway. So Alistair effect on normal or flip is going to be able to grab you your Invocation. Now, Invocation is a really good card in terms of it allows you to use fusion materials from the grave, and that's either grave, field, or hand. So it is very versatile, and it allows us to use our extra deck in a very unique way in order to fuel our fusion materials for our fusion summons. What do I mean? Well, we're going to link off Alistair into a Link 1. Konami, when is there going to be an Invoke Link 1? Because we literally have Artemis, who should just be an Invoked monster at this point. So we're going to link 1 into Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden, as it takes a 1 level 4 or lower spellcaster monster, and Alistair's a level 4 spellcaster. We're now going to activate Invocation, and now since we have Meltdown on the field, they cannot go spell this. Usually you can go spell cards that are going to banish something from the graveyard. Well, not with Meltdown on the field, because it means your opponent cannot negate your fusion summons. They can still crow the Alistair, which in that case, Alistair would get crowed, Invocation would fail to resolve, it would go to the graveyard. You can then use Invocation effect, add Alistair back to your hand, put it into the deck, and you can do your engine again next turn. You know, it's not great, but DD Crow or Bestial, you know, at least you get the engine restarted next turn. Yes, it sucks, you don't get your fusion, but at least Invocation restarts your engine. But let's say they don't have anything, or they have a bell that they can't use because of my Ghost Rare Meltdown. We're going to fusion a Light and Alistair. And we're going to make our boy Invoked Macabre. Invocation that goes to the graveyard. Now, Macabre is a brilliant card. 10 years ago, in the year of 2024, he is okay at best. Why? Because there's a lot of 1-for-1 removal that gets rid of him. For example, they can just Imperm him. They can use any type of removal. They can Droplet him. They can Dark Ruler him. They can Kaiju him. They can do a lot of things to him. They can summon Kashtira Fenrir, and then that forces the Macabre basically to be used. They'll just go battle, effect in battle to attack. You'll have to negate it or you lose your Macabre, the main 2 they can play. There's a lot of things that they can do nowadays to poor Macabre. But the way I see it is that if they have, we used no cards in this interaction because we're going to use Invocation effect to grab Alistair back to the hand. And now Invocation's in the deck. So we've reset our hand. This Macabre has cost us nothing. So if they use 1 to 2 cards to out the Macabre, it's a plus. If we can get its effect to negate banish something, that's even better. So obviously keep in mind that the negate banish is going to cost you a card in your own. So if they do an effect to try to negate banish and they hit you with a droplet, you've also gone neg, you've also lost a card and you're losing the Macabre. So just keep that in mind. Card advantage is pretty important with a deck like this. You got to make sure that you have full awareness of what your opponent has and what you have, and that's how you sort of can control and win the game state. But that's combo number 1. It revolves around just Magical Meltdown. You can do the same combo if you just open Alistair, just normal him and grab Invocation. Now let's get on to the juicier combos. Let's start incorporating multiple engines together. Let's go to combo number 2. Alright, so here we are for the 2-card God combo. This combo gets you so many cards in hand and so many disruptions. It is unbelievable. It is very susceptible to hand traps. They can bell this and they can ash this. And that is really, really sad. But let's just pray to the Crowley God that that doesn't happen. A lot of people were asking, how does a Dogmatica engine combo with Alistair or Invoked in general, and it combos very, very well. It's sort of like made for each other in a way. How? Because Nadir Servant says for the rest of the turn instead of for the whole turn. So I will show you exactly what I mean with that restriction. So we're going to do our bread and butter, activate our Ghost Rare Magical Meltdown. We're going to grab Alistair. We're going to normal Alistair. We're going to use Alistair's effect. We're not going to get Ashed Imperm because we're just built different. And we're going to have the invocation now in our hand. We're now going to commit to all our extra deck plays before we activate the Nadir Servant, because as soon as we activate this, we are locked out of the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So this is why we cannot start off with Nadir Servant. We have to start off with our invocation plays first. So now we're going to link off our Alistair into our QCR beautiful Artemis. It's like £4, which is crazy because you can have a really, really nice card that goes in your Invoked deck for like so cheap. And then we're going to activate our invocation, banishing both, one from the field and one from the graveyard, to make our Invoked Macabre, which is pretty nice. Now, what are we going to do? Well, this is where we start committing to the Nadir Servant package. So we're going to activate Nadir Servant. We're going to send to the graveyard our Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. And it's pretty important that we send him. We can send Garua for a draw. I prefer the Ash Dragon because it's going to get us guaranteed negation during our opponent's turn. So we send that to the graveyard and we add to our hand a Dogmatica Ecclesia. Now, Ecclesia has the amazing effect that if there's an extra deck monster in the field, it's going to be able to special summon itself. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to use Ecclesia's effect. We're going to special summon herself, preferably in defense, because yes, she can't be destroyed by extra deck monsters, but they can still repeatedly crash into her. And if they have loads of huge extra deck monsters, you can get OTK'd through her. So just summon her in defense and we're all good. Now on summon, Ecclesia is going to be able to use his effect. It's going to lock us out of the extra deck though if we do use that effect. But since we're using Nadir Servant, we are already locked out of the extra deck anyway. So we say, yes, please, let's be locked out twice. And, you know, these lockouts don't stack. They will all expire during the end of the turn, which is cool. So with the Ecclesia, we're not going to add our Fleur-de-Lis. We're going to add our Dogmatica Punishment. Why is that? Well, as we set this card, which I'm going to leave face up so you guys know what it is, and go to the end phase, we are going to trigger our Titaniclad Ash Dragon effect. And this is exactly why I enjoy playing the Dogmatica Punishment. But before we get to the end phase, I always forget this. We've got to use Invocation effect. We've got to put it back in the deck. And we got to grab Alistair back to our hand so we can set it all up next turn. We will now go to the end phase. And because of Ash Dragon, we are able to add the Fleur-de-Lis directly from the deck to the hand. So this is the, I guess, benefit of playing a extra target, because usually with the Ecclesia, you're going to be able to add your Fleur-de-Lis, but then your Ash Dragon isn't going to be able to add anything during the end phase. And you can make the argument, well, just don't play the Ash Dragon then. Well, the Ash Dragon actually comes up a lot with Branded Fusion. You can actually hard make it with a Lubellion and Fallen of Albaz with both materials from the deck, which is great. Comes out with 3/7 attack and is unaffected by extra deck monsters' effects. So it kind of does come up. It allows us to clear something, even if it has negation or targeted removal, it's unaffected. And then we can Lubellion tribute it, set up our Lubellion plays, and get our Dogmatica engine started in the end phase. Which is why I think Ash Dragon does deserve a place in the extra deck. And if I were to cut it, what would I put in instead? I'd probably put in Chaos Angel instead. But for now, the Ash Dragon stays. And this is the board. So might not seem like a lot, but with 2 cards, we have 2 cards back in our hand. We have 4 cards if we count Meltdown on the field, and a lot of interruption. Remember, we have Macabre that can negate banish any card type as long as we have the correct one in our hand. So we have Alistair. I prefer not to use Alistair because he's our follow-up for next turn and allows us to OTK. But if we have to, we can always use an Alistair. We have the Fleur-de-Lis, which is a negates. It special summons itself and negates in the same chain, which is really, really difficult to stop with any hand traps. And then we have the Dogmatica Punishment, which is a targeted destruction of a monster. But we can also send Entis to the graveyard to go 2 for 1. Just be mindful that when you use Dogmatic Punishment, you are locked out of the extra deck for 2 turns. So the turn you use it and the next one. So if you use Punishment, you got to make sure that you have a way to OTK or a way to re-establish your negates and interruption without using an extra deck. So keep that in mind. And now let's move on swiftly to combo number 3. So for combo number 3, I'm going to be showing you the normal Branded Fusion combo, and then I'm going to be showing you the new Branded Fusion combo. And the amount of stuff we can abuse with the new Branded Fusion combo is insane, but I felt it was important that I do show you the standard play of ending with the Mirror Jade and the Alistair, the Invoker. So what do? Well, we're going to start off every single play with normal summon Alistair. This could also be Meltdown, and then we're going to grab ourselves our Invocation. Now, usually one Branded Fusion, it's a bit awkward because we can't link off. We can't immediately get that free light to fuel the Mikaba. So I'd have to jump for a few hoops. But since we play a specific card in the main deck now, it is fine. So what we're going to do, we're going to activate our Branded Fusion. We're going to send to the graveyard, of course, a Fallen of Albaz with a Bestial Soronir. So this is the inclusion, and I'm going to show you why it is very, very important right about now. So remember, if we have Meltdown, none of this can be responded to, but it's still the same thing, basically. Just Meltdown gives us pretty good protection. We're going to summon our Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. And now we're going to have 2 chain links here. So we're going to have Lubellion, well, we're going to have Soronir as chain link 1 and Lubellion as chain link 2. Lubellion is going to discard a card to fusion. And worst case scenario, if they imperm this, it is still a light monster. We can still make Mikaba. We are still fine. But let's assume that it all goes through. We're going to put Lubellion back into our extra deck. And now we are going to put our Fallen of Albaz into the deck as well. And we are going to make ourselves our beautiful Mirror Jade. And then we're going to resolve our Soronir. And our Soronir is going to send to the graveyard our Bestial Lubellion, which is pretty cool. Now, why is this cool? Well, excuse the coin drop. I am cooking here because now we have a light monster in rotation. So now what we can do is we can activate our Invocation, banish our Lubellion, banish our Alistair. What we're going to do is we can now freely make our Invoked Mikaba. So just like that, with 2 cards, we have the non-targeting banish and, again, the non-targeting banish. And then, of course, we're going to use Invocation effect and put Alistair back in our hand. And from the 2 cards we've used, we've gotten 1 back. And now we have the Mirror Jade, which is cool because the Mirror Jade is going to send for cost. And we always pretty much send our Titaniclad. Why? Because Titaniclad in the end phase is going to kickstart our Dogmatica engine and give us a very cool OTK line next turn through the Ecclesia and Fleur de Lis with This Is Enough. And the non-targeting banish, and of course we have the Mikaba as well. Yes, we had to pitch a card for the Lubellion, but we got 1 back with Alistair. So that is the old Branded Fusion combo. Let's now move on to the new Branded Fusion combo. So now it is time to show off the insane power boost that the ban list gave Invoked. I know what you're thinking, there were no Invoked cards to begin with. I'm on about the Thunder Dragons, baby, and how we can abuse them with our Branded Fusion. So let's activate our Ghost Rare Magical Meltdown, just because Magical Meltdown is going to make this combo so much more insulated. It's really, really good. It's going to limit the amount of interaction our opponent can do, which is always an amazing thing in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! So we're going to grab our Alistair. We're going to fish for the Ash here. If they Ash it, we're still cooking. It doesn't matter. This is like one of the only scenarios now where if they Ash, they imperm the Alistair. It is absolutely fine because we have the Branded Fusion to absolutely cook. But since we're gods, they don't have anything, and we're going to go full combo anyway. So we're going to grab the Invocation. Now what we're going to do is activate the Branded Fusion. This is where the Ash hurts. This is the big choke point here. If they Ash, we are kind of screwed because we haven't been able to get any lights in our hand. And assuming our opponent doesn't have any lights in the graveyard, we cannot fuel any fusion summons at this point. We are big screwed at this point, but they're not going to have the Ash. And if they have the Ash, we're going to have the call by because it is a QCR call by, meaning it'll be in our hands more often. So we're going to activate Branded Fusion. We're going to send Fallen of Albaz and Thunder Dragon Dark. Now you're thinking, what are you cooking? Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. So now what are we going to do? Well, we are going to make our Albion the branded dragon. Now, why Albion and not Lubellion? Well, Albion banishes cards from the GY, which is exactly what we need to trigger our Thunder Dragon Dark. And remember, with Meltdown, none of this can be responded to. So unless we eat a fat Nibiru at the end of the combo, we are cooking. So we're going to use Albion effect, banishing our Albaz, banishing our Dragon Dark. And what is that going to make? Well, this is going to make our Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. Now we're going to have 2 chain links here. So we're going to go Dark 1, Lubellion 2. Opponent cannot respond, so we are cool. We do have to pitch a card here, which is sad. But now we are going to Fusion Summon. And we're going to put a... We can put either the Albion or the Lubellion back. I don't think it really matters here. Probably put back the Albion because it has that cool graveyard effect. And we're going to be sending it maybe at some point later. So we're going to send the Albion. We're going to return the Albion, return the Albaz to the deck. And we're going to make a Predaplant Draco Stepalia. But remember that the Dragon Dark is still attempting to add. So we're going to add, sorry for the proxy, I do not own a Thunder Dragon Roar. Not Thunder Dragon Roar, a Thunder Dragon Hawk. But if you squint hard enough, this is a Thunder Dragon Hawk. Now, what is cool about Thunder Dragon Hawk? Well, we can now activate Thunder Dragon Hawk's hand effect. So send it to the graveyard to reborn our Thunder Dragon Dark. And you know what that means? We can tribute off Thunder Dragon Dark and summon the one, the only, he's back, our boy, TDC Thunder Dragon Colossus. So amazing. Our opponent is now effectively Droll and Lockbirded, which is pretty cool. And now we still have many lights in rotation. We have the Lubellion, we have the Hawk. It's really up to preference what you want to banish. I mean, I think it matters, but off the top of my head, I can't remember which one. So let's just go for the Invocation. Let's keep the Fusion around because we're going to want to use that next turn anyway for the Agoides play. Or if you want to go for the Agoides play now instead of the Mikaba play, you can do that. So let me just show you how that would be done. So we'd just banish both the Lubellion and the Alistair. And we would just straight up make our Invoked Agoides, which is pretty cool. That goes to the graveyard. You have the option to make Mikaba. I'm just showing off for the combo's sake the Agoides. And now remember, we have the Invocation effect. Put Alistair back in our hand and put Invocation into the deck. Make sure you shuffle it. And this is the 2-card combo, guys. Our opponent is Droll and Lockbirded. We have a quick effect negate with the Draco Stepalia. And we have, when our opponent special summons, we can pop it. So amazing stuff. And this is pretty much the main combo that I did want to show off in the updated combo guide of Invoked. There are so many different combos you can do in Invoked. You can do Alistair with a Lubellion pitch. In fact, I'll show you guys secret combo. I've talked myself into it. So now it is time for the secret 2-card combo. Now this 2-card combo is a OTK going second or a OTK in the late game. Shout out to Mark, who saw this combo firsthand when he was playing Centurions against my Invoked build. Shout out to Mark, you are AG. So how does this combo work? Well, we're going to activate our Ghost Rare Magical Meltdown. Konami, make it happen, because we would be gangsters. We're going to grab our Alistair, the Invoker, and get Drolled and pass, because this deck loses to Droll. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to get Drolled. And if we do, we have the call by, because we are built different. So now we have the choice of baiting. Now, what do I mean by baiting? Well, if we use the Bestial Lubellion first, it's because we probably have a Branded Fusion in hand and we're hoping they use the Ash. If we want to ensure the OTK, we're probably going to normal summon Alistair first instead because we want to bait for a Veiler or an Imperm. So this plays around more hand traps, I guess. So we're going to normal summon the Alistair, check for a Veiler or Imperm. If they Veiler Imperm, the OTK is off, but it changes our line completely. And we can do different things, but we're going to assume they don't have anything. And we are going to grab our beautiful ultimate rare, always in our hand because it loves us that much, Invocation. Now we're going to use the Bestial Lubellion. We're going to simply send him to the grave and we're going to grab our Bestial Druisworm. Now, this is where you need to be careful. If they don't have any darks in the graveyard, well, we're out of luck. We have to banish our Bestial Lubellion from the grave to summon our Druisworm, and the OTK can continue. If they have a dark in the graveyard, keep in mind we cannot banish it because we need to steal it later on. If they have multiple darks or lights and darks, we are fine and we can high roll. So let's assume we're going to high roll. We're going to banish a random light from their graveyard, summon Druisworm. Now, what's the next step? Well, the next step is actually just sending Druisworm straight to the graveyard to summon Lubellion. This doesn't activate, it just happens. It's like a non-activated effect, so it's pretty cool. And now Druisworm effect does activate. We're going to send one of our opponent's special summon monsters to the graveyard. We're now going to use the Bestial Lubellion effect. We are going to place the Branded Regain onto the field. And this is going to give us draw power. It's going to give us monster reborns when our opponent summons. It's a very good card, and I should have played it from the very beginning when I was playing Invoked with the Bestials, but it's taken me too long. It's in now. It's not coming out. What's the next step? Well, we can't actually link off the Alistair into the Artemis because we need a dark monster. So just go straight into the link 2, which is the beautiful Starlight Rare Dark Charmer. I got a Starlight Rare because it gets impermed and Veiled Death. It's just facts. That's just how Konami, you know, why Konami made Starlight Rares. You know, I don't make the rules. I just work here. But now, with the Dark, I'm gonna proxy, we're gonna take the Dark monster from their graveyard. Also, we can only do the OTK if they have at least one spell in their graveyard or field. I know it's a lot of stipulations, but usually our opponent will have gone through one spell card. That's all we need, because we're going second. Why can't we use the Invocation in our hand? Well, because when we get to the Selene, we will have no spellcasters that we can reborn, so we can't actually use the Invocation, which sucks. But they're going to have a spell. They have to. Even the decks that are, even if you're playing against like super heavy samurais, maybe they're playing like a 1 second like a G. But the chances are you're not going to be playing super heavy samurais because the Link 1 is banned. So even if you're playing a deck like Flunderies, something that is more monster heavy, they're going to have a spell in their graveyard. So we're going to link off the monster and the dark. And we're going to make the Selene Queen of the Master Magicians. Now, we just need 3 counters. The more the better, I guess. But 3's enough. We get 2 from our side of the field and 1 from our opponent's graveyard or field in terms of spell cards that they control or is in their graveyard. So it has 3 now. And now we're going to let that resolve. And now we're going to ask our opponent, do they have anything? Why? Because this is a freaking quick effect. It took me years to realize that. I've had opponents that go, yeah, I'll imperm, and you just go, okay, chain. Remove 3 spell counters and reborn your Alistair the Invoker. I did not know it was a quick effect. Let me know in the comments if you guys did. It took me way too long to realize that. So we're going to reborn our Alistair the Invoker because he is a suitable target for our Selene. Now, say goodbye to both of them again as they fuse into, well, I say fuse, more like they're going to join together, which I think Alistair would like because Selene is a very pretty card, into our Access Code Talker. And now we're going to have Access Code Talker effect. It's going to target our Selene, and it's going to gain 3k, which is 5/3. And you may think, yo, that's not enough for game. Invocation, brother. We're going to use Invocation. We're going to banish our Selene, and probably not Selene, actually. Probably Lubellion and Alistair. Why? Because we want more banishers for the Access Code Talker. We're going to now summon the Merkaba. And now we're going to have a chain link here. Well, not a chain link. We're going to have an effect of the regained. Don't put back the Alistair the Invoker, please. Because we can grab that back with Invocation. Put back the Lubellion, and we're going to draw a random card. Hopefully a hand trap. And a Diz Servant is just amazing at this point. Something hopefully good. We play a lot of gas, so it probably will be. Now, well, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to use Invocation effect. We're going to put itself into the deck. We're going to shuffle, and we're going to put the Alistair back in our hand. So we have 2 pops now with Access Code Talker, since we have a light and a dark. So 2 cards gone. Again, opponent can't respond. Isn't that fun? And you may be thinking, well, 5/3 and 2/5. Rogue, you're dumb. You can't do math. Well, guess what? We're going to go battle phase anyway. 5/3 and 2/5. Yo, I have 300 life points left. Nope. Damage step, Alistair, to the grave. GG's. And I'll see you in the next game. Yeah, Alistair has an effect. Damage step, use its effect. Give Merkaba 1000 attack extra. Just enough to poke for game. And that is the secret OTK with Invoked. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I was trying to be you know, I'm trying to contain myself because Invoked is my favorite deck of all time, and I just want to make sure I get the point across effectively so that you guys can see these combos, and hopefully you guys have learned something. That's the main thing. And I hope we drew a Abyss to Lubellion, by the way. I hope you guys have been convinced at least to try Invoked, and if you do, let me know in the comments. I love looking at Invoked. Send me all your lists. Send me all of them. Send me all of the ideas. I see synchro builds of Invoked with the Revolution Synchron and Jet Synchron. I really like those builds. I haven't delved too much into them yet. I haven't been Tinker Tom. I haven't looked into them yet. I've been focusing more on the Colossus build, which is the build that you can see on the channel. It's posted 2 weeks ago, and this is the combo guide for it. So make sure, if you haven't seen the deck profile, you see that first. Or if you've seen this video, you see that second, because it will make sense. All the ratios and things like that. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for 2.7K. Road to 3K is going strong, and I'll see you all on Monday's upload.
It's time! Let's go!